This evening, we will present a special election edition of the Nevis Newscast, where we take a look at some of what's happening on Nevis for polling day. The details are straight ahead. Good evening and welcome to the Nevis Newscast for today, Monday, February 16th, 2015. I am Bronte Swanston Hendrickson. The polls were scheduled to close at 6 p.m. today, which facilitated the 2015 general elections in St. Kitts and Nevis. This election is expected to bring an end to the heightened electioneering by the various political parties in St. Kitts and Nevis for the past 2 years. Renowned political pollster Peter Wickham, in an article published on the Barbados Today website, refused to make a prediction as it was too close to call. Today, as we drove around polling stations on Nevis, the turnout started off as heavy in the morning and slowed down to a crawl towards the middle of the day. We have more in this report.
Thanks, Bronte. We started our trek at around 10:30 a.m. in constituency number 9, where we visited a number of polling stations and headed along the island's main road with stops at each polling station. While passing through constituency number 10, we caught up with the Concerned Citizens Movement CCM candidate, the Honorable Vance Amory.
This morning we did have some very great concerns in terms of the organization of the poll here in Nevis. I think, at some stations there were no complete lists, and I think there are still stations without complete lists, so that those who come, if their names are not there, they don't know where they can go. Some of the lists were different in a number of respects, so you had that kind of conflict. I think in one area, Butlers, there had to be a cessation of the voting process until the list was organized. Looking in terms of on the ground what is happening, say in number 10, I think things are going very steadily. We have experienced the same difficulty not having a complete list. I cannot say that there are discrepancies in the list because none have been pointed out to me. But I think it is very sad that even though we've been preparing for elections for some while, that we still have these glitches, and which are really very simple things which ought not to really occur.
Corey Tyson, who is running against the Honorable Vance Amory, was unavailable to give a comment. Continuing along the island's main road, we headed to constituency number 11, where the Honorable Patrice Nisbet is the NRP candidate contesting that seat.
Today is polling day here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Generally, the polls in Nevis 11, they open on time, except at one of the polling stations, there was some issue with regards to which list. I understand that the matter was resolved, but when one goes around here, especially in St. James's, we see people going out and exercising their franchise. For me, of the Nevis Reformation Party, I believe that we have clearly outlined what our message is. We have clearly outlined a record of performance and achievement. And so I think the people of Nevis, and the people of Nevis in particular, will endorse such with the exercise of their franchise today.
Nisbet expressed his gratitude to the people of Nevis for exercising their franchise.
I would want to thank all those who would have gone out and ensure that there are indeed free and fair elections here in St. Kitts and Nevis, and that democracy is alive and well. I would want to condemn the situation which has occurred in St. Kitts, where it has been brought to my attention that the constituency office in number 2 was attacked. One would indeed want to condemn any sort of violence that is politically, violence generally, one would want to condemn. But here on the island of Nevis, it seems that we are going to have an elections which is violent-free and incident-free.
We made contact with the Honorable Alexis Jeffers, but he was unable to speak with us on camera at that time. And finally, we headed back to constituency number 9, where we caught up with candidate for NRP number 9, Honorable E. Roberto Hector.
It has been a great day. The turnout at the poll, I'm satisfied what I've seen so far. It was slow around midday. I find early in the morning it was heavy. I anticipate that later this afternoon it would also be heavy. This election is an important election in the history of St. Kitts Nevis, and I'm expecting a high voter turnout at the end of the day. So far, I'm feeling pretty confident that this is my time. My time is now, and I think the people in Nevis would have made that decision. And that decision that I speak of is a choice between working and talking.
The Honorable Mark Brantley, who is the incumbent, was unavailable at that time. I am Fredicia Library reporting for the Nevis Newscast.
Thanks, Fredicia. Mark Brantley, one of the candidates for Nevis 9 in the federal elections, revealed on Friday that he is confident of a win in today's poll. Brantley, however, addressed one of the major issues in the lead-up to the federal elections, to this being the involvement of the court system in the election process.
Well, there would be no need for litigation if those in power did what they were supposed to do. The reality is, if you break the law, we go to court to resolve it. We have seen litigation in politics. In the by-election here in Nevis, not the by-election, but the general election in 2011, we saw litigation because of the unlawful conduct of electoral officials. In relation to this litigation, we've seen it because of unlawful conduct of the head of state, unlawful conduct of the Prime Minister in seeking to deny parliamentarians a right to debate a fundamental bit of legislation. You can't change boundaries overnight. You can't overnight tell people who have not been consulted that they no longer can vote in the district to which they've been getting accustomed. You can't deny parliamentarians sent there to represent people the right to debate such an important issue. Right now I'm told in St. Lucia they're having a discussion and Parliament has now been debating the matter for 3 days. Here we are given a matter of minutes. In my situation, as a parliamentarian representing one of the largest constituencies in the country, I happened to be abroad, but nevertheless, my fax is time-stamped at, I believe it was 3:52, seeking to tell me that there's an emergency sitting of Parliament in Bastia for 4:15.
The opposition team Unity sought and got injunctions at the High Court and the Court of Appeal, which were both later discharged. The matter reached the Privy Council, which too reimposed the injunction discharged by the High Court. This set up a situation where the elections are being held on the boundaries as at January 15, 2015. In response to the ruling, Brantley commented on the harsh words the Privy Council said about the Attorney General.
But that's a matter for the Attorney General, who must now, I believe, look to his reputation. That, I think, is sometimes the risk when we do what is expedient rather than what is right. We have long-term risks, and so it's a matter for the Attorney General, because I've got calls from all over. And I think young Hamilton is a young lawyer. He has a bright future, and he ought to consider, really, whether when one engages in certain efforts which are all about strategy as opposed to being right and correct as a matter of legality, I think that is where reputation risks arise. And so for me, the Privy Council is quite harsh on him, and it will be for him now to consider where he goes from this point.
The Charlestown High Court in extraordinary sessions reportedly sat on Saturday as there were issues with names not appearing on the voters' list. On Friday, it was reported that the CCM had not been given access to a voters' list less than 48 hours away from an election.
We have some issues with the voters list because the list that has been provided to us is, in our view, bogus. Hundreds of people, we're realizing, have been left off it, and we're now dealing with that as well. So we're ready, we have been ready, and we go to the polls on Monday. And I'm saying to you, confidently, looking into the camera, come Monday, 9, 10, and 11, CCM.
That was candidate for Nevis 9 on the Concerned Citizens Movement ticket. We'll have more local news after this short break.
Welcome to Nevis.
It's easy to believe that all Caribbean islands are the same until you visit Nevis.
Nevis is the Caribbean of a bygone era.
You will enjoy a most intimate vacation on Nevis. You're only a stranger here once.
We offer exclusive and barefoot luxury stays.
With only 400 hotel rooms, our island may be exclusive.
But the warm, genuine and friendly welcome is just everywhere.
We look forward to meeting you.
Visit nevisisland.com.
You are watching NTV!
Welcome back. Last evening, as the election rallies came to a close in 2 locations, there were 2 different experiences. The Concerned Citizens Movement wrapped up in the heart of Charlestown, and indeed a massive crowd turned out to show support. Additionally, the CCM had guest artist Dwayne Stevenson to help energize and inspire the crowds. Here are some images from last evening.
Tuesday we're gonna party in St. Kitts, and Wednesday all roads lead to Nevis. You know, I see so many former supporters of what was the NRP in the crowd. I wanted to give them a round of applause and welcome them. Welcome them. We're happy to have you. Over the years we have had someone from NRP, 2 persons from CCM, going over to Bastille and talking opposite to each other. One is saying, give us more in Nevis, and one is saying, Nevis no want nothing. So we want to put an end to that. We don't want to look like fools over there. The only way you can get good representation is to send 3 of the CCM seats to St. Kitts. Van Samry, Mark Brantley, and Alexis Jeffers.
The light that remember Jalib, oh chill, Jalib, Nevis, let your voice be heard tomorrow. You are more powerful than you think. Each one teach one, each one take one. One love. Pick up on yourself every time.
The Nevis Reformation Party seemingly had a different fortune in terms of a crowd, as the party chose the Cherry Garden basketball court for its final meeting. In addition to the candidates, the New Vibes band out of St. Kitts provided entertainment. Here are some of those images.
That is why I want you tonight to understand. It is time to stand up. It is time to be counted. It is time to be a part of history in this country. I want you to give it up tonight for Corey. Give it up for Patrice. Give it up for your party, the Nevis Reformation Party. And believe you me, I want you to give it up. Give it up for Constituency 9. We are out to do business. Tomorrow when you get into that room, remember your symbol. Your symbol is the bottle.
Counting of the votes cast begins at 8 this evening, and you can join us as we team up with Vaughan Radio to bring you special coverage of this all-important elections. That's it for tonight's edition of the Nevis Newscast. Thank you for viewing. Good night.